Labor has been always opposed to environmental changes because they didn't cost them jobs. It's their future. They're going to build 550,000 electric charging stations all across America. My mom used to say, out of everything bad, something good will come if you look hard enough for it.
Turns out he didn't have a mother. Never had a mother. Created in a petri dish. No parents at all. I think he did have a mother. But if he says that his mother used to say, you should first check to see if he actually had a mother. Whether she could speak. Because you really can't believe anything he says. He's, what's the word, Michael? A liar. He's a liar. He lies a lot. A lot of politicians lie a lot. I don't know if you've noticed that, but a lot of that going on. Man, oh, Manischewitz. Just amazing stuff. Hey, I've got more breaking news, and it's Mailbag Day, and this is Mailbag Hour too. Now, but I've got to share with you the latest story of Biden family corruption. It's pretty amazing stuff, I've got to say. Miranda Devine at the New York Post, which means nobody else will report it, and Twitter would have killed the story, and Facebook, because the Democrats are fascists. They're not Democrats at all. What we've seen is a merger of state and corporate power. And that's Benito Mussolini's definition of fascism. He knew a thing or two about fascism, right, Michael? And that's the way he defined it. And also the historian, the Pulitzer Prize-winning presidential historian that wrote the Obama biography, he said the Obama administration, the Obama presidency, marks the beginning of an era in the United States of America where there was a merger of the information oligarchs and the Democrat Party. And I thought that was interesting because I've been saying that for years. And I'm glad that the Pulitzer Prize-winning presidential historian David Garrow caught up to me on that because it's true, and we should all say it out loud. Speaking of which, Miranda Devine publishing a letter that was put out today by Congressman James Comer on Capitol Hill. And Miranda Devine sums it up this way: over $20 million in payments from foreign sources to the Biden family and associates from Russia, Kazakhstan, and Ukraine during Joe Biden's vice presidency, during his vice presidency, not even after. James Comer, Congressman, Chairman James Comer, House Oversight Committee, followed the money. And James Comer put out in black and white, a letter on this today and made it available to a news organization that he knew would publish it, because you could give it to the Washington Post and they'd go burn your house down. Give it to the New York Times, they'd kidnap your children. Metaphorically, of course, they would literally kidnap your children. They'd think about it, though. So the Committee on Oversight, who was it that was saying they liked oversight? Katie Porter. Oh, yeah, Katie Porter. Yeah, she was lying. So the earth is on fire and we're all going to die soon, Katie Porter. Should we have Katie Porter T-shirts, the earth is on fire and we're all going to die soon? Thank you. Could that be a funny T-shirt? You don't really want to wear a Democrat message. It's a mock thing. It's like resist we much, kind of. The earth is on fire. We're all going to die soon, with a terrified Katie Porter. So the Committee on Oversight and Accountability, they don't believe in accountability. The Democrats don't believe in accountability or they don't oversight of any kind. Third Bank Records Memorandum from the Oversight Committee's investigation into the Biden family's influence peddling and business schemes. Remarkable stuff. The committee staff is releasing a Third Bank Records Memorandum. That's the name of the bank, the Third Bank. I like the Fifth Third Bank. Do you think the Fifth Third Bank is better than the Third Bank? To apprise and make aware majority members of the ongoing investigation, the Biden family's influence peddling schemes, and on March 16th of 2023, staff issued the first memorandum, the First Bank Records Memorandum, and highlighting the Biden family's use of the Robinson Walker LLC. How many LLCs do the Biden family have when they're not in any particular business? Isn't it remarkable? It is. To receive money from certain Chinese entity. The House committee and the Washington Post didn't report it. They just attacked James Comer for releasing information that was bad news for the Democrat Party, because the Washington Post is not a news organization, and it's owned by one of the information oligarchs that's in bed with the Democrat Party, with all kinds of buggery going on there. Then on May 10th of 2023, the staff issued a second memorandum, the second bank records memorandum, which focused on the Biden's business dealings in Romania. First, the Chinese entities, that's the Communist Party, then Romania, just former Communist Party, and additional information regarding their partnership with Chinese entities closely tied to the Chinese Communist Party. The third bank records memorandum serves to inform members of Congress of the Biden family's relationship with certain foreign entities and individuals in Russia, Ukraine, and Kazakhstan. Now, see, when you're a Democrat, you have the media engaged every day in an active cover-up, then you can sleep easy knowing that this is not going to be news. In fact, that goes to one of the mailbag questions too, coming up. But the Biden family lied about, and President Biden lied about his family's business deals. This is part of today's memorandum from Chairman Comer. Committee has revealed millions of dollars have come into the Biden's family bank accounts from foreign sources, including from China, Romania, Kazakhstan, Russia, and Ukraine. I'm sorry, list that. Is that like a rogues gallery of China, Romania, Kazakhstan, Russia, and Ukraine? Has Hunter ever been to Kazakhstan? Independent whistleblowers' sworn testimony from criminal investigation into Hunter Biden has corroborated the committee's financial investigation. Testimony from Hunter Biden's former business partner, Devin Archer, also corroborates and supports the committee's findings. No one in the Biden administration or in the minority, the Democrats, has explained what services, if any, the Bidens and their associates provide in exchange for the more than $20 million in foreign payments. What business is he in? What service are they providing? What's the quid pro quo? Remember all the talk of quid pro quo during the Trump administration? Ukraine, that was Ukraine and Biden family corruption. That's why Donald Trump called Ukraine to do a little poking around himself. He's like, I'll just make the call myself. Can't trust the FBI. The filthy, dirty, rotten CIA has been corrupted, like Soviet-style corruption, and the FBI has too. The stories I told yesterday, two different corrupt FBI agents, one of them Elvis Chan in San Francisco, lying under oath about the FBI meddling in the presidential election by way of Facebook, run by another one of the information oligarchs in bed with the Democrat Party. Fascism is a merger of state and corporate power, and Mark Zuckerberg is one of the fascists in bed with the Democrat Party. Let's just call it like it is. And so was then owner of Twitter, Jack Dorsey. And you notice he's disappeared. He's living in a hollowed-out volcano somewhere. Boy, is he gone. And the committee writes in the memo released today, Joe Biden was the brand sold around the world to enrich the Biden family, and he was used to signal their access, influence, and power. President Biden's family is the vehicle to receive the bribery payments and all their phony LLCs that don't really do anything, do they? I'm still I've been asking this question from very early on. What business are they in again? What is the industry? What is the service they're providing? The Biden White House's attempt to move the goalposts shows they have no answers, the memo also states. And Miranda Devine is a news reporter. She's reporting the news. The Democrat Party, on the other hand, and their media allies. I'm telling you. You're looking at me because the mailbag. I got to get to the mailbag. I know I've got to get to the mailbag. I do. Also, the remarkable stories today about the cocaine, which they lied to us about, and the Secret Service covered up, and it's the Democrats have corrupted. Let's see, the FBI, they're now corrupting the Secret Service on this cocaine investigation. They've corrupted the intelligence community at the CIA and beyond with that felonious 51 letter. And now White House cocaine may have belonged to someone in the Biden family orbit. Furthermore, another story says that they know who dropped the cocaine in the White House, and Joe Biden has been told who it is. So if you want to know whose cocaine it was, ask Joe Biden. But nobody will, because the news media is a bunch of bare-naked, tongue bath rent-a-mules for the Democrat Party. All right, I want to get to some mailbag questions. Let's do that. I've got to do that. Connor asks, how many foreign languages are you conversational in? English not included. That's not a foreign language, so I wouldn't include English. But I'm not conversational in any foreign languages. I speak muy poquito español. Sí, bien, bueno, dos más. Very little Spanish, but a little bit. I can get by here and there. In Spain and Spanish-speaking countries and Latin America and so on, right? But I've got to say, when I saw that question, Connor, I was reminded of a planted question that was given to Barack Obama. Was that Charlemagne, the misspelled god, that asked that? If you could have a superpower, he was asked, if you could have a superpower, what would it be? And Barack Obama gave the only answer I've ever liked from Barack Obama, who, by the way, is running the Biden administration from a remote location, multi-million-dollar mansion, with his staffers keeping in constant touch with the White House. But Barack Obama said that if he could have a superpower, it would be the ability to speak every language in the world. And I thought, you know what? That is a pretty cool superpower. That'd be great. I really don't. Now, I mean, the truth, I go to Japan, I learn a handful of Japanese words. I go to Greece, I have a small handful of Greek words and phrases that I can use. Muy poquito a francés. That's a Spanish, a very little French. But when I go to India, I like to learn to say please and thank you and good morning and I just start with that. When I go places, particularly if I'm going to spend any time there, I like to have some just courtesy phrases, But I've got to say, I don't have them all tucked away. I can't blurt out thank you in Urdu or anything like that right now, even though I may have learned it at one time. And I would like to learn Spanish because, the Democrats are turning America into a Spanish-speaking country. So it's not a great answer. But, I wish I did speak a lot of languages. I think it would be a great Barack Obama superpower, I think.
I would love to be able to speak any language. Now, that's a weird superpower. I know that it might not come in handy, to rescue folks from a burning building.
Right.
But, I've always wished that, whatever country I went to, wherever I met somebody who spoke a different language, that I could right away speak their language.
It's kind of a fun response. The only thing I ever thought, that makes a little sense, you commie. Well, that's that. Robert says, hey, Chris, love both shows. We missed you. Glad you're back. Why does the lying MSM, the mainstream media, seem to be more powerful than the House of Representatives? That's a fun question. Our representatives, the Republican representatives, point out the terrible things people like the Bidens and Fauci did. But if ABC doesn't talk about it, it goes nowhere. And that's 100% true, of course. That is true. The power of the media, the mainstream media. That's why the Democrats, the left in the United States, knew that they had to corrupt the media, and that's where the fascism comes in, the merger of state and corporate power, the information oligarchs and the Democrat Party. And let me say this. It's because the Republicans don't know how to make an argument on Capitol Hill. They never pound the table. They're never standing in front of the building singing a song with cameras in tow. The Democrats know it's all show business. They've turned it into show business, at least. And the Republicans, it's a very frustrating thing for all of us, I know. The Republicans don't know how to win an argument or make a point. And that's why Kevin McCarthy, perfectly nice man, Speaker of the House, I was frustrated when he was chosen to be Speaker of the House because He's not well-spoken. He is soft-spoken. He doesn't pound the table. He doesn't make a point very well. He doesn't win the argument. And you've got to have a ferocious fighter in there. President Trump could be Speaker of the House, and that'd be hilarious. If he were not running for president, he could be made Speaker of the House, and that'd be hilarious. But you're right, the feckless Republicans on Capitol Hill don't know how to win an argument. I have more mailbag questions coming up as well. But I have breaking news. President Biden's plan to introduce the digital dollar is already underway, already in progress. It's vital to understand the potential consequences because, believe it or not, contrary to their claims, this initiative is not in your best interests or mine. Time is of the essence, too, so taking action now is absolutely necessary to protect yourself and your financial future. You can help protect your savings and your retirement and your family's future from the risks of the digital dollar by diversifying with gold and silver IRAs. You want to talk to the experts at American Alternative Assets. We love American Alternative Assets. Give them a call at 888-4-GOLD-20. That's 888-446-5360. They'll give you all the guidance you need in safeguarding your retirement savings. Say no to Biden's digital dollar. Call 888-4-GOLD-20. That's 888-446-5360. Call them now. Be done with it. Individual results may vary. There is no guarantee that past performance will be indicative of future results. Seek your own legal, tax, investment, and financial advice before opening an account. I wish the Democrats would give me less stuff. I only have a 3-hour show. And I do have more mailbag questions coming up.
There's only one Chris Plant. The Chris Plant Show.
Hey, it's Chris Plant. Excited to tell you about our July 2024 Listener Sea Cruise. We'll be sailing around the British Isles, visiting Scotland and Ireland. Please join us. Book by this July 31st for extra savings. Visit ChrisPlantCruise.com. All right, still more mailbag questions coming up. And Senator Dianne Feinstein, 90 years old, fell and was hospitalized briefly yesterday, tripping and falling in her home in San Francisco. She wasn't hit over the head with a hammer by a Democrat or anything like that, was she? Remember that? They tried to paint that guy as a Republican or something. Then the story went away when it didn't work out. Briefly went to the hospital yesterday afternoon as a precaution after a minor fall in her home. They just spin everything. You can't believe a word they say about anything. All of her scans are clear and she returned home, and that's nice. She's an old woman, and we're not Democrats, so we're not bloodthirsty ghouls. They might want to take a look at the security cameras, though, and see if Adam Schiff was anywhere nearby with a tripwire of some kind. Maybe Katie, the earth is on fire and we're all going to die soon, Porter, also plotting and scheming to take Dianne Feinstein's Senate job. They're out to get her. The long knives. Better check the security cams. Lickety split.
This is the Chris Plant Show.
Governor Ron DeSantis, under attack by the radical pro-crime left today because he suspended a radical left-wing, semi-literate prosecutor in the state of Florida, and she's lashing out at him like she's a jihadi. And I want to get to that as well. Also, Bud Light selling off, 8 different beer brands, that their parent company, InBev, selling off 8 beer brands because Alyssa Heinerscheid, who went to Harvard and the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania, came up with a really great idea for marketing Bud Light. And now one of the world's most gigantic, certainly alcoholic beverage companies, is collapsing all over the place. And her name is Alyssa Heinerscheid. She'll be hired by a left-wing group to do more of the same elsewhere. But we'll get to Ron DeSantis and this lunatic in Florida as well. The media is going to be really angry. It's the prosecutor's a black woman. Is she LGBTQIA plus also? Maybe. Because that'd be a hat trick, wouldn't it? But let me get back to the mailbag. T-Bone weighed in with a question. Chris, I see you were 21 the first time you ever voted in the 1980 presidential election. I voted for John Anderson. Who did you vote for? That's what T-Bone wants to know. Now, one minor thing. I was actually 20 years old in 1980 when I voted in my first ever presidential election. And it is a part of my penance that every now and then, and I've done this many times before here, I must admit out loud that in 1980 I was young and naive, and I was being brainwashed in Santa Barbara City College and the news media, and I voted for Jimmy Carter and not for Ronald Reagan. Now, fortunately for me, I was able to meet Ronald Reagan in 1980 and then in 1981 and 1982, and I never made that mistake again. And it was a big mistake, and I'm ashamed of myself and of that decision. I was being brainwashed and indoctrinated like so many people. I was 20 years old, and in theory, and I did, I was 18 years old in 1978, living on the North Shore of Chicago. And I've always loved voting, so I definitely voted in the midterm elections, my first election, but not a presidential election. That was a midterm election. And I have no idea who I voted for in 1978, and my mother, my beloved departed mother, was a lifelong Democrat, but not a mental case, not a lunatic. She was sane and rational. But when I was 20 years old in 1980, I voted for Jimmy Carter, to my eternal shame, embarrassment, and disgrace. It's one of the reasons that, my parish priest told me I should get a job as a conservative radio talk show host to try to make up for that act of foolishness when I was 20 years old. And but you voted for John Anderson, which is pretty funny too, I got to say. But then in 1984, I voted for Ronald Reagan. 1988, I voted for Ronald Reagan again, even though he wasn't running. Just kidding. I didn't. I voted for and then I voted for Republicans for president ever since. Sometimes not entirely thrilled with the Republican, but I voted for him. Yes, but to my eternal shame and disgrace and embarrassment, I voted for Jimmy Carter for president in 1980, my first ever presidential vote. And, maybe we should send out a picture of me and Ronald Reagan today, just in response to T-Bone's question. Then Ray asks, thank you, T-Bone. Good, embarrassing question for me. But you admitted to voting for John Anderson, too, so that's okay. We can have a beer. Just not a Bud Light. Ray asks, which is more effective for election results, attacking candidates for their record or exposing the problems their ideology is causing? And I would say, honestly, you got to balance both of those. You got to, to win elections, you have to expose your opponent as the lunatic loser who does crazy things and lets criminals run free and things, Democrats, and harvest the organs of millions of black babies and things like that, right? But you really have to do both, I think. That's what I think. Arth Gallo says, how much cartel money has been laundered through China to the Biden family? Will we ever know the depths of deceit? Will we ever know the depths of deceit? I'm hoping that we will. The news media won't report it. The Democrats will say it's all false. And the media will faithfully quote the Democrat Party's lies, right? But we will know, I think, the depths, although there will be, I predict, no accountability. Certainly for Joe Biden and the millions. And another memo out today from Chairman James Comer, $20 million into the Biden family coffers. Now we've thrown Kazakhstan in there, along with Romania and Ukraine and Russia and China, $20 million, while he was vice president. And if we had a news media, what would they do? How much money laundered through China, the Biden family? I think Comer and the, this is why having control of the House of Representatives matters so much. The truth will come out. But, going back to an earlier question from Robert, the House Republicans don't seem to be as powerful as the news media. And there's a lot of truth to that. There certainly is a lot of truth to that. And we will know the truth. We knew the truth about Russian collusion before anybody at CNN. We knew the truth about Biden family corruption before anybody at CNN, and on and on. Now, thank you, everybody, for the mailbag questions. I could spend 3 hours on mailbag things, but the Democrats give me 5 hours of stuff every day, and I only have 3 hours. Let's go to Ron DeSantis. Let's go to Ron DeSantis, because Ron DeSantis has given suspended a sentence. He has suspended a prosecutor, state attorney in Florida, because he says that she's guilty of dereliction of duty for not prosecuting crime and prosecuting criminals. She's a leftist, an angry lunatic. Ron DeSantis explained her suspension this way.
Monique Worrell's administration of criminal justice in the Ninth Circuit has been clearly and fundamentally derelict so as to constitute both neglect of duty and incompetence. The policies or practices listed in our executive order suspending her that constitutes the grounds of suspension are as follows. One, a pattern or practice to avoid minimum mandatory sentences for gun crimes. Pattern or practice to avoid minimum mandatory sentences for drug trafficking offenses. Pattern or practice allowing juvenile offenders to avoid serious charges and incarceration altogether. Pattern or practice to avoid valid and applicable sentencing enhancements. Pattern or practice limiting charges for child pornography. Pattern or practice for seeking withholding of adjudication in situations not permitted under Florida law.
Other than that, she's doing a great job. So he has suspended her, and he's the governor. It's a powerful position. She doesn't believe in mandatory minimum sentences for guns or for drugs, and juveniles, never go to jail. Doesn't know how many people they murdered. And child porn. The Democrat Party loves child porn, don't they? You got that guy, the mayor of College Park, Maryland. The news media stopped covering that story. Arrested, like 60 or 70 counts of child porn. A good friend of Pete Buttigieg, invited to the Biden White House many times. The news media would cover the hell out of that if this were a Republican Party scandal, but no. Now, here is the woman. She is a radical. She's the Ninth Judicial Circuit State Attorney, Monique Worrell. I don't know if she's a Soros person or not, but she might as well be. A lot of them have just kind of fallen into the Soros mold. Pro-crime, more criminals on the street, lynch the police, abuse whatever power you have. And her name is Monique Worrell. Monique Worrell ran to the cameras, and the press gathered around her like the gang of boot-licking sycophants that they are, while she spewed this semi-literate lunacy.
If we're mourning anything this morning,
what?
It is the loss of democracy. I am your duly elected state attorney for the Ninth Judicial Circuit. And nothing done by a weak dictator can change that.
A weak dictator? Now, isn't that kind of oxymoronic? If you're a dictator, aren't you a weak dictator? Nothing managed by well, you've been suspended, right? Suspended a sentence for you, Monique Worrell.
This is an outrage.
It's an outrage.
1 year, 3 years ago.
3 or 1.
I was elected by the people of the Ninth Judicial Circuit to lead this circuit.
Some time ago.
And yes, to do things unconventionally.
What?
To do things differently. But
really?
I didn't hide. I didn't say that I would do things and I didn't do them.
What?
I didn't say I wouldn't do things and not did them.
And not
I
did
did
them.
exactly what I said I would do, and that is what you want from an elected official.
Her nickname is "and not did them." She's been suspended because she's pro-crime. She's the lefties are all pro-crime. In D.C., we're on track to have the highest homicide rate in 20 years in Washington, D.C., and we have a left-wing prosecutor, Matthew Graves, who chose not to prosecute 67% of the criminals arrested by the police. 67%. Nearly 7 in 10 just walked free because the radical left-wing pro-crime D.C. prosecutor, the district attorney, Matthew Graves, chooses not to prosecute 67% of the crimes. I have jury duty scheduled on Monday. I'm scheduled to go in for jury duty in D.C. Guilty! Guilty! And I like to, when I walk into the courtroom, I just say, guilty! And I don't really, the jury system is a wonderful system, but in fact, if you call in today, Jasmine is the wonderful Jasmine. Everybody loves Jasmine, is on the phones today. And she wasn't here yesterday and the day before because, why? Jury duty, that's why. That's how come. She was on jury duty, doing her civic duty and all that stuff. Yeah, but I think when I'm asked, any questions by the judge, I'll ask, why is it that the district attorney, Matthew Graves, doesn't prosecute 67% of people arrested for crimes? And doesn't that mean that the other 33% are obviously guilty as hell and he can't avoid prosecuting them? Thank you. Thank you. I'll be leaving now.
This is simply a smokescreen for Ron DeSantis' failing and disastrous presidential campaign.
What?
He needed to get back in the media in some positive way that would be red meat for his base, and he will have accomplished that today. He will be in the news nationally and internationally for the individual who has single-handedly destroyed democracy in the state of Florida.
Single-handedly destroyed democracy in the state of Florida. That's what's going on there. She's really something. Little bit hyperbolic, I'm thinking. Probably. But this is what the radical fascist left-wing, George Soros pool of lunatics, this is what they peddle. They're all nuts. They're all nuts. And she's obviously nuts. And what's her phrase that I did not did? What is that? Yeah, whatever she did not did. Yeah. Thank you for your input, Monique Worrell. Maybe a job in media is ahead for you. She's very angry, very bitter.
I didn't say I wouldn't do things and not did them.
I didn't say I wouldn't do things and not did them. Right. Thank you. Probably Harvard. I'm guessing Harvard is the way. The New York Times is already very angry with Ron DeSantis. The Washington Post, very angry. CNN, they're all very angry. Some of them might self-immolate, which I think is always kind of fun, don't you? All right, let's go to another Democrat, because there's a Democrat by the name of Alyssa Heinerscheid. She did go to Harvard, and she went to the Wharton School. And that's at the University of Pennsylvania. President Trump went there. So not everybody that went there is incapable of, anything. Thinking, for one thing. But you may remember Alyssa Heinerscheid. She wanted to get rid of the Bud Light brand. It was the most popular beer in Western civilization, quite literally. Not just in the United States, but in Western civilization. The only two beers that outsold Bud Light were two Chinese beers. A beer called Snow and Tsingtao. You might know Tsingtao. Most people don't know Snow. And Hunter Biden does. and Joe Biden knows who brought the cocaine into the White House, but they're covering it up. And which means it's somebody that, they're protecting, and they're happy to do that. So here is Alyssa Heinerscheid, as she wanted at The Hague for war crimes from World War II, or is that her grandfather? Alyssa Heinerscheid, still taking shots at Germans all these years later. Alyssa Heinerscheid, she was going to get rid of that Bud Light brand.
I had a really clear job to do when I took over Bud Light. And it was, this brand is in decline. It's been in decline for a really long time. And if we do not attract young drinkers to come and drink this brand, there will be no future for Bud Light. Transgender people, because it's a huge demographic that... Bud Light had been kind of a brand of fratty, kind of out of touch humor. It was really important that we had another approach. The most successful beer in the history of the universe, and she had to get rid of it. That is, then she got this Dylan Mulvaney, who says he's a woman but is a man. I'm going like this, kind of so, comme ci, comme ça. He has male genitalia, which he brags about because he wears skin-tight shorts and then goes to the shopping mall and is offended when people stare
at his suspicious bulges.
This month, I celebrated my day 365 of womanhood.
No, you didn't.
Bud Light sent me possibly the best gift ever, a can with my face on it.
A can with my face on it, because usually it's his face with a can on it, which is a different thing altogether. 2 days ago, State Attorney Monique Worrell condemned the police union's criticism of her following shooting of Orlando police officers. She's anti-police. Oh, and by the way, that's posted by the Human Rights Campaign, which is an LGBTQIA group. So I'm guessing that Monique Worrell might be that coveted hat trick. Why else would the Human Rights Campaign jump in her defense, her anti-police screed? Well, Bud Light has been forced to sell off 8 of their brands now. 8 of their brands. And it's not Dylan Mulvaney's fault. It's the Harvard grad's fault. It's Elisa Heinerscheid. She made $27 billion disappear. And now the parent company, InBev, has to sell off 8 different beer brands to try to make up for her disastrous time at Anheuser-Busch. By the way, August is Pride Month. August is Pride Month in the United States. It's American Pride Month. I just call it Pride Month, August. Month where every day we should pause and take a moment to be proud of the United States of America, the greatest country that God ever created. And now, if you're a Democrat, you don't have to do this. You can go self-immolate at the Supreme Court if you'd like, even though it's not Earth Day. But August, every August is Pride Month now. It's American Pride Month. And Elisa Heinerscheid, she's not going to celebrate Pride Month. No way. Oh, yeah, also I looked up the Monique Worrell. She went to the Frederick G. Levin School of Law at the University of Florida. Very bitter woman, very, very rancorous, very bitter. And, you know, she can hang out with Lisa Heinerscheid now. Lisa Heinerscheid, who's destroyed Bud Light. Anheuser-Busch is selling 8 of its beloved brands as Bud Light drama plagues its business. They have to sell off 8 beer brands. They've lost $27 billion, and their profits are down, down, down. And it's all because of a Harvard graduate by the name of Elisa Heinerscheid. She did it because, frat boy image. She was going to get rid of it. She got rid of their image as the top-selling beer in Western civilization, too. So they're fine. By the way, they're selling it to a Canadian. All 8 beer brands are being sold to a Canadian cannabis company. So they're going to have a party at their place, aren't they? They got all the reefer, and they got 8 different brands of beer now that they've got to sell because of a woman named Elisa Heinerscheid. Nice job, Harvard. Nice job, Elisa.